Welcome to Still with Purpose. This is Amanda and Christy.
Our goal is to dig deep and discuss real, raw subjects in pursuit of greater self-awareness, positive transformation and healing, and to link arms and journey with you to find purpose and passion in life. Welcome back. Today we are talking about the question, do you ever feel like a hypocrite? Amanda, what's our quote today?
Okay, here we go, guys. Tell me what you're judging harshly, and I'll hold a mirror up for you to see the irony of it all. So here's what we're going to talk about today is a subject that's probably going to get under your skin. And that's kind of how we roll. Every single person is a hypocrite in some fashion, in some season of their life. If you are highly judgmental, I guarantee you are a hypocrite in many areas. I'll just let that one sit for a second. Sometimes I think judging creates an okayness, like, well, I'm not as bad as that person. There's so many people that are worse than you in so many areas. And I think that creates a scenario where you can use that as a justification for your judgment. That doesn't mean we don't have a ton of personal work to do on ourselves. I can honestly say now that everything, and I mean everything I have judged in 50 plus years has been an opportunity later on for me in life to be a hypocrite in.
Yeah, I believe it. You know, this is a really hard subject for me. And I even said in our introduction episode that I can be described as judgmental. So it's true, but I don't like being unappreciated. I don't like being taken for granted. And I become really judgmental of how somebody else is behaving when I get those feelings. And I know God has called us all to love one another as we would ourselves, right? Love thy neighbor as thyself, as yourself. So I know I'm no better than anyone because I don't do that all the time. And so obviously every time I judge, because I don't do that all the time, it's certainly an area for me to be a hypocrite every single time. So I know that in my head, but it's hard.
Yeah. And that's where the irony is. I have a great story about this. Obviously, I have a huge judgment on murder and murderers. And then, I never have been so angry in my life that I could say that I would be willing to do that. And then I went through a situation around 2018 where my dream was completely exploding, and it included my marriage, and the whole dream was done. And the way it went down was really not good. It was probably the biggest betrayal of my heart in my life. And my former husband was involved in that. And I remember feeling so angry and so devastated, and just so much emotion came over me of all the loss and all the dominoes and all the people we were going to disappoint. I mean, there's hundreds because we were running an events center, and hopefully they're not listening to this podcast. But I felt murderous. I finally understood, and God was like, see, you're capable of everything. And it was very eye-opening for me.
I totally get that. There have been big things that I have in my years judged and said, I could never do that. Or, how could so-and-so ever think to do that? Literally said those things. And then years later, in certain circumstances, here I was doing those exact big things, betraying other people. You never know what you're capable of until you're in a situation, and then you start justifying your behavior to yourself and making it feel like it's okay. But yeah, we're all capable of it, sadly. And we're all equal, and we're all capable of feeling those things.
Yeah. So when I was talking about losing all that stuff, going through a divorce, that was actually my second divorce. And I just wanted to come back around to that because I had an extreme judgment on divorce. And now here I am in my second divorce. I have an extreme judgment on divorce still. So that's the whole point of this discussion, is just everything you judge is an opportunity for you to be a hypocrite. Like, you guys don't know the circumstances of my divorces, and yet I still harshly judge divorce. I judge you if you're divorced. I'm divorced twice. So can you see the irony in all of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just hearing you say second divorce, a lot of people are going to have just judgmental thoughts instantaneously, right?
I have judgmental thoughts about it still, and I'm the one in it. But it's so interesting. I'm judged harshly for being in 2 divorces, but they're not judged for sleeping around with 15 guys in a year. It's like I'm judged harshly, and I'm the one that hasn't dated since my divorce, and I'm the one with baggage.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's again, we're all equal. We all do things that are of sinful nature.
Yeah.
No one's better than anybody else.
So the whole point of this is stop judging because you do other crap that's offensive. You do other crap that ruins relationships and you void fill and I void fill. We all void fill. So it's really a waste of time to spend your time judging and being a hypocrite. So that's the whole point of this discussion. My mom has always said, smell your own armpits instead of mine.
Mm.
And that's kind of been a family term my whole life, really. And it's perfect for this one. Smell your own armpits.
Yeah. I know you used that in your book. I remember that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. I think the biggest finds that I've unearthed for myself in my growing journey is to actually journal. And at one point, I came across a book, I think it's called Healing Prayer, but basically, you journal and ask the questions and just wait till you get an answer. Like, I have harshly judged this my whole entire life. And when you start doing personal growth and adding journaling in there, I want you guys to possibly ponder that you can sit in silence until God answers you. Write out the question. This is where I've unearthed some huge feedback from God. I think I asked him on a specific situation and he gave me such a deep answer and he gave me the exact time I did it. He's like, yeah, remember when you do this to guys, like why are you judging that so harshly? You do it, it's just in a completely different way. You try and get validation from men, why are you judging her from getting validation from men? I was like, oh gosh. That's a really powerful tool, you guys, is getting quiet. Ask the question and then wait, and it will come. I promise. He definitely wants you to grow and he wants you to be not judging yourself and therefore not judging others. And the Bible says that. Don't judge or else you'll bring that same judgment on yourself. And let's go on the part of judgment and hypocrisy. Every single person's a mirror for you. So that means if I'm triggered by you, what is it about you that I don't like in myself? And if you can stop and take the time to really dig into that, you'll find that maybe you're judging because they're coming across as very short and mean. And it's like, I don't like that. Why would you talk to someone like that? But it's a total mirror of how you've been a hypocrite and you just talk to your kids like that the same exact way. It just was a different circumstance. So you see the ugliness in that person's actions, but you aren't cognizant to the fact that you just treated your kid like that. And so you do recognize it on a subconscious level. This is what self-awareness is. It's going, why is Christy triggering me with her tone? You know, mother and father wounds, there's a lot of men, if you have father wounds, just the tone of their voice will trigger you. And if you can stop and say, why is this person triggering me? You can say, oh, I used to be talked down to like that by a toxic relationship in my past. And so I don't need to choose to be triggered, but this is what's triggering me. And then that's something to go, oh, okay. It's just good to know. It's good information. One of my favorite tools on this subject is when someone is being super critical of you, and I've had plenty of this in my lifetime with different bosses and leadership, especially in the facilitator personal development rooms. When you feel like someone's being overly critical and giving you really harsh feedback over and over and over, and my love language is words of encouragement. So if you're going to give harsh feedback over and over and over, then eventually you're toxic to me. Like, I don't want to be around that. I want the feedback, but if it's delivered in a negative way and really harsh and critical, then I shut down. And I shut down because of old triggers and old wounds from past people. What's really helpful in a toxic relationship is to pretend like your face is a mirror or you're holding up a mirror and they're talking into the mirror, not to you. Unfortunately, it becomes kind of humorous because you're just like, oh my gosh, you hate yourself. Like you literally hate yourself. The stuff that comes out of your mouth is absolutely how you feel about yourself. And that has helped me tremendously through many toxic relationships in my past.
So, do you talk to the person about that? Do you try to have a conversation with them about it?
That's a great boundaries question. There's so many places in life where you come to these growth spurts. And eventually, when you want to get rid of people pleasing and savior complex completely, you have to have boundaries. And boundaries include removing people that bring chaos. And what's the opposite of peace? That's chaos.
Mhm.
They just bring toxic behaviors. You don't have to choose into that. You don't have to choose into that at all. But if you're still in the first round of personal growth where you still are a people pleaser the majority of the time, this is going to be really hard for you to do because you still want the affection and love from that person, even though you don't really. Anyway, that tool will really help you understand where they're coming from to where you don't have to take it personally anymore, especially if you have to stay in relationship and it's a leadership that you're under, maybe even a marriage, right? So you can not take the fiery darts to your heart as much because now you have a tool that will help you maybe have more compassion for them. Also, basically, your mere existence is triggering to them, and that is not your problem. Just like it's not their problem that they're triggering you. I used to have facilitators, male facilitators, say, I'm not your ex husband. And I just sit there and go, cool, you're right. You totally triggered me. I
Mhm.
can choose to be triggered, but I also at some point can choose to not be under your leadership if it's that toxic.
Right.
So, yeah, you could have a possibly deeper conversation about it and grow together. Or there might be some relationships that you just release because now you've gone through boundaries and figured that out. And now you're in a level that's like, hey, I can ask for what I need. And if you're not willing to do this, this is a non negotiable for me.
Mhm. Yeah, I think if you're in one of those relationships, like you said, it's not an option right now, at least to choose out, then I go back to what we talked about in our first episode on the let them theory. Let them, and the implications will happen as they should, and they'll have to deal with them. But like you said, I'm choosing not to be triggered. I'm choosing not to be a part of it or take responsibility for it, not letting it affect me, hopefully.
Yeah, you're letting them so that you can not be triggered and judge and be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of work just controlling your own responses. And then do that for a while in the relationship. Do that for a long while in the relationship. Eventually you will be coming from a place of, hey, like it's just really mellow request instead of you always do, you're always like this. Like you're not coming from judgment anymore. You're just asking, hey, your tone is really condescending. I don't know if you know that, but every time you talk to me, it's condescending and it triggers me still. I'm trying to work past it, but at some point I need to stop and say, hey, this is not the way I want to be talked to.
Do you think we've talked about it before? Do you think if you choose not to be triggered, then you can take the emotion out of it and literally state it like a fact? I mean, that's what I hear you saying. And that's what I have been trying to do is stating things more like a fact. Like you just said, I don't know if you realize it or not, but, and not coming at the person with all these emotions,
Yeah.
that stir things up, but it's just really matter of factly, this is what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's the cycle of healing. You're healing yourself and then you're healing together and then hopefully they're healing themselves. But sometimes there's husband and wives that go through personal development work not together, or one of them goes and the other one doesn't. And sometimes you outgrow a human because they are just so unwilling to change. And it's really sad to watch because you made a commitment to keep growing at the minimum together. Growing apart is the number one reason for divorce. So that should be high alert for every single person. And that's coming from a divorced woman that had mates that did not want to work on themselves. And here I am, a personal development photographer for over 20 years, working on myself daily, almost to crazy town, but I can't be with someone that's a blamer.
Mhm.
I have to be with someone that takes personal responsibility. So really what we're really talking about today is taking personal responsibility for your actions, your judgment, your hypocrisy hypocrisy, and it will really tone down the judgment on others because you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I'm the same. I'm doing the same stuff, just in a different situation. And that's where the shift happens, because you just do. You start letting them just be exactly who they are. And there's not a lot of pain and passion behind it. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of triggering happening when you come from that space.
And going back to the Bible, Jesus died for all of us. We're all sinners and none of us deserve forgiveness. But thank God he gives it freely if we just accept it. But I'm no better than you and you're no better than me. And that helps me when I remember that. My judgment can be toned down because it's like I put myself back in my place,
Yep.
Yeah, there's something really powerful in that knowledge.
Yeah, when you focus on yourself. First of all, it's a full-time job. Also, I feel like the only thing we're called to do is love ourselves, love God, and love others. And we're really horrible at it. Like, we get about a 3 out of 10. And so, like, if that's our only job, then in order to love yourself well, it's to really correct some of these things that are hurting your relationships. Here's a mic drop. Are you ready?
I don't know. Am I?
It's a mic drop question.
Okay.
If you are a harsh, judgmental person, I have to ask, or I pretty much know, but I want to ask you, are you that harsh on yourself? Do you judge yourself that harshly?
1000% yes.
Yeah.
I'm so hard on myself and always have been. And I know it's led to anxiety in the past. I've dealt with that a lot, but it's holding myself to expectations that I know I can't live up to. And I know I do it to others. Yeah.
Yeah.
Extremely hard on myself.
Yeah, I was the same way. I think it was probably like my first 2 years of personal development seminar. I was a student at the time. And I remember the facilitator saying, dang, you are so hard on yourself. Are you seriously that hard on yourself? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, more, better, different. Like, there's always something to fix here. I can be better every single day. And she goes, but if you're that harsh on yourself and you don't see yourself as enough and you're judging yourself that harshly, then your husband's not going to be enough. You're never going to be enough. Your kids will never be enough. And your God certainly isn't enough. And I was like, oh,
Ugh.
it was so powerful.
Mhm.
And it's those kind of moments that if you'll stop, instead of getting triggered and offended and just, nope, not receiving that information. If you'll just stop and just be like, hey, God, let's work through that. But that was really brutal right now and my heart hurts, but don't let me forget that information. Like, let's work through that one together. That was brutal. Yeah. So basically, when I have something that's that powerful of a truth for me and an awareness for me, in the time that it's happening, it's so brutal. Like, you could just start bawling. And I did during that time. But then take the extra step and go and journal about it as soon as possible that you can. And then also ask God to help you work through that, because that one alone was so humongous for me, because I stopped judging myself harshly. I didn't really have perfectionism in there at all, because I'm an artist and we're a different breed, but there was always something to fix, basically. So when I gave up that need, it really helped me have more compassion and love toward everyone else around me, all the people I was judging, basically.
That's great. My anxiety over the past year even has really subsided, but I think with personal development, the more you have, the more at peace you are. And certainly as your relationship with God grows, the more calmness you feel in your heart and peace about yourself and about your surroundings. And so that fear, anxiety is fear.
Yeah.
And when you're judging yourself harshly, I think it's because you're fearful of what could happen if you fail or if you XYZ, who knows, whatever it is that you're fearful of at the moment, that's creating that anxiety. So when you have peace, that turns into the absence of anxiety.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about some things that they can reflect on and journal about this week?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. So question number 1, can you think of someone that triggers you often and write down the words they have spoken over you? Can you see that those words are really how they feel about themselves?
Yeah, that's a good one, especially in the mom dad arena, or if you had really bully brothers and sisters. That's something to look at because those words you've carried through, especially in how you feel about yourself. Like you've heard some things that have stuck with you, and then take those words and say, oh my gosh, that's how they felt about themselves. And it is very enlightening to do that. So I definitely challenge you guys to do that.
Okay, number 2, make a concerted effort to not get pulled into high judgment of anything. And when you do, stop and ask yourself, why am I judging this so harshly? And do you feel like a hypocrite?
Yeah. And we talked about that a lot in the actual discussion. So I think that one's pretty clear.
Yeah, I'm going to bet that the answer is yes.
I'm going to just break it to you one more time. Every single human is a complete hypocrite. Not at all times. That's not who you want to be. We all don't want to be, but we definitely are.
Yeah. Okay. And number 3, are you open to seeing that every human has something to teach you about yourself?
Yeah, that's a true game changer. Because then you come into a new crowd as a stranger. Can you imagine how different you come across if you have something to learn from everyone instead of you have nothing to learn from anyone and you're coming from a judgmental, hypocritical stance?
I think we all know people like that.
We've all been people like that too. But if you show up to a room and you come from the space of everyone has something to teach me, you're actually going to be quite delightful to hang around. Instead of coming at it from a judgmental, standoffish, hypocritical, just crappy personality. It's not working for you. And every single human does have something to teach you. So be open, be looking for it. And this is part of your healing journey, is to learn from others. This topic was really, really heavy. There might be parts that you want to go back and listen to, honestly, just to write it down, maybe even. Have a good week digging into some of this stuff, because God's going to show you some really powerful stuff if you ask him and you get quiet.
Yeah, I would love to hear feedback. Once people do these journaling exercises, to hear what was revealed to themselves.
Of course, we would love to hear the truths that you found about yourself if you're willing to share and be vulnerable, because we'll learn from it too. If every single human has something to teach you, then you have something to teach us as well. I just learned more stuff about, oh my gosh, I did shift in that area when I told that story, but oh my gosh, how is that showing up again today? It's good for us to hear it over and over. All of us, every human.
Yeah, I don't think these things ever go away. It's just becoming aware of them.
Yep, it's all about awareness.
Okay, well, that's our time.
So we'll see you next week.
All right, see you then.
Thanks for joining us today. We know your time is valuable and we hope you have a phenomenal week.
Until our next episode, find more content and social links at stillwithpurpose.com.